Hey, and welcome back again to another fine episode of Common Sense, the program where you would be highly offended by my compelling rhetoric. Yes. Have you ever, you remember the last time I talked about you can never go home again? And you remember I told you about this girl I was head over heels about and how that lasted on up into high school. And I remained head over heels about her for a long time after that. You see, the problem that I ran into is I never got to know her. I never took the time to actually talk to her. Let's face it, I was scared to death of her. Now, am I alone in this? Am I the only one that's in the world? Well, of course, you often feel like you're the only one, but you know you're not alone, don't you? Yeah, you know that you're not the only one that ended up making that mistake. All you did really was, I took this test not long ago that this friend of mine sent me through the email. She sent it, and she said it was one of those silly email tests you get. And she said, I remember telling, her little notation above it, she said that this thing is frighteningly accurate. And so I took this test. And the key to the test is it tells you who it is you're in love with, basically. Do you realize that very, very few people ever really marry the person that they're in love with? If you actually married the person that you're truly in love with, and I'm not talking about in love with at that moment you marry them. I'm not talking about in love with at that, and I'm not saying that, you've been married 20 years that you don't love your spouse. You probably do. But is this the person that you were in love with back in the day? Probably not. You see, if you don't talk to that person, you don't get to know that person, you make it easier on them. They don't have to like you. They don't have to like you anyway, but they don't have to tell you they don't like you. You just made it easier on them. But what if you had talked to them? What if you just said hi? What if you'd have been nice? What if you would have taken that time? You know how it is when you're young and you fall in love. I truly fall in love with somebody, and you get near them. You know how your heart's pounding so hard that it's about to explode out of your chest. Your stomach ties itself in knots. You've got your pet butterflies in your stomach doing the flutterby dance. You get my drift? Well, when that happens, you can't talk. Your ability to speak is suddenly, and you could be a very talkative person like me, and your ability to speak around this person, dead, gone. Maybe if you're lucky, you might be able to try to impress this person with your vast vocabulary of profanity or something. Yeah, that'll impress them, all right. What you got to do is you got to search within yourself, because it's there. The courage is there. Common sense dictates, hey, you want to know this person, you want to get to know this person, get to know the person. But you have to talk to them. You get to know them a little bit, who knows, maybe they will like you. Even if they didn't act or give any indication they liked you before, they might like you. They might even fall in love with you. Because if you don't, if you don't tell them anything, if you don't start talking to them, the opportunities, they get fewer and farther between. And then, before you know it, you're out of school, or you've left that job, or whatever it is, or you're out of the situation where you would normally run into that person, and all opportunity is lost. You see, all relationships basically start with, at least in our American culture, start with what we call opportunity. The opportunity presents itself. It's there. It's there for you to take advantage of. Now, this doesn't mean you want to do anything stupid like, harass the person or anything. But, you want to get to know them. Get to know them. Yeah, it doesn't matter what side of the tracks each one of you comes from or anything like that. That's nonsense. Quit worrying about that class struggle. Quit worrying about, oh, this person's so perfect. Let me tell you something. That other person's just as human as you are. They're not perfect. You want to get to know them? Common sense means you get in there and you talk to them. Get to know them. Who knows? Might turn out you don't like them. Hey, till next time. Use a little common sense. It goes a long way.